the dimensions of Fort Erie, or at least how it relates to Woodbine for these horses that will run here today?
Well, uniquely, it is a pinched track, so the turns are tighter, but the stretch is longer. On this track, you see horses often rallying very wide to win their races. Track saving ground is very important. Here at Fort Erie, you can come up on that final turn because the bank is so high. It's very much like a car speedway, and gain some speed up there and then come down through the stretch. The stretch is longer. The best horse usually gets to win here.
In the Queen's Plate, Ali Deed stay off the pace, but with the mud flying, do you suspect that Craig Perrette may take him to the front early?
The only horse that's going to break outside him is Ragnarok, because he is number 5 and Ragnarok number 6, and that shouldn't give him any problem. He should be able to dictate his own fortune because he's startest of the other horses. He doesn't mind running wide, and he'll be out there to start with.
Well, here's the $20,000 claim. Judge Carson with David Clark up, number 1.
As we mentioned, he's owned by Jerry Myers of Williamsville, New York. $20,000 claim just a year ago when the owner had to fly the money in to secure this horse. He became a stakes winner. He had some physical challenges this spring, cough, virus. He's thriving right now.
Well, he's the most experienced runner. 18th lifetime start for Judge Carson. Number 2 is Roden.
It's a son of Pleasant Colony. They often like an off track and love to run long. This 4 bandages today, as you note. I think the way his foot is constricted, he will handle this off track very well. He was very wide last time in the Queen's Plate.
This handsome dark bay gelding, second in each of his last 4 starts. Grand Hooley stands for Irish Party.
And he's not only a son of us, that means mud potential, but his dam also loved to run in this kind of footing, and that augurs well. He has tactical speed, and having that ability is important.
And the roan is Benburb for Steve Stavros' Nob Hill Stables.
Of course, he was bothered by that irritation in the leg. They inject, doing well now. He comes to this race, Larry Attard aboard. He was aboard for Phil England in New York the other day for a big win on San Romano.
Under the polka dots, under Craig Perrette, number 5 is Ali Deed.
He's having a look around now at this track. He got here earlier this week. It was no work as fast as he usually does because he was taking in all the beauty of the infield.
And there's Ragnarok rounding out the field.
He had some shoe trouble that was reported in the Queen's Plate, and that's why he didn't run as well. It will be interesting because shoe trouble on a track like this can be a big, big problem for a horse. Sometimes of the racetrack can grab a shoe right off a horse.
9 1/2 furlongs, 1 3/16 miles, the same distance as the Preakness. It's Ali Deed, and who else? Well, let's look at 2 of the key challenges.
Leg to run on the grass. We see Benburb coming up to the gate here. He makes a great appearance. It's hard to tell a good gray horse because they all look so similar, but he's got even dapples for a gray horse, which you never see. Dan Kenny alluded earlier to the fact that Ali Deed looks so good with his dapples. This horse is an equally good-looking horse, although he doesn't have the same, and he would be hoping to be in front of Ali Deed at this point of the race when they're running, but I don't think that's going to happen, and they're loading into the gate.
All right, well, Dan Loisel, this will be your 4th year in a row joining us at Fort Erie. What kind of a race do you envisage?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, Ron, if Ali Deed went front and took no prisoners. It's almost like Goliath in the form of Ali Deed against 5 Davids, and they better have pretty big rocks and slingshots to beat this son of Shadid today. We're just waiting on Ali Deed. He's 1-9 again, just like he was in the Queen's Plate. And outside of Ali Deed is Ragnarok, and then the starter will send them on their way. Just waiting on Ragnarok. They're at the post. They're off in the Prince of Wales Stakes. For the inside, Ali Deed broke well, and just to his inside is the roan, Benburb, as they move in front of us for the first time. It's Benburb on the inside and Ali Deed on the outside. Ragnarok is third. Grand Hooley sent through between horses right on the heels. Now he angles toward the rail. Roden is now 5th, and the early trailer is Judge Carson as they run into the clubhouse turn. The first quarter, a slow 24-3 in the off-going. And Grand Hooley has come on to take the lead as they run to the backstretch. In second, Benburb, Ali Deed, Perrette continuing his tutelage of Ali Deed. He's rating kindly, just 2 lengths off the lead. They move to the backstretch now. Grand Hooley, Ali Deed is at his neck. Benburb is back to 3rd now. Roden is 4th, about 2.5 lengths off. Ragnarok has 1 3-year-old beaten. That's Judge Carson, and Ali Deed is up to stick ahead in front. Grand Hooley is determined to his inside. It's Ali Deed by a head to Grand Hooley. Benburb to the inside is third, just a length and a half off the lead. Then there's a gap of 4 lengths to Roden, back to Judge Carson and Ragnarok. Half a mile in 48 and 4, 3/4 in 12 and 4. They're midway of the far turn, and Allideed stretches it now by a length. Benburb takes over second. He's being hard-wind. Grand Hui is third. Roden, Judge Carson's beginning to pick it up. They're inside the quarter pole. It's Allideed, Benburb in hot pursuit on the outside. It's Allideed on the inside, and Benburb right in his neck. Benburb on the outside. Allideed put out drive. It's Benburb and Allideed inside the final furlong. Allideed, Brett is asking him for everything he has. Benburb on the outside, very determined. Now it's Benburb by a head. A monumental upset in the making. Benburb wins the Prince of Wales Stakes to lead. With Judge Carson third, Roden fourth, Grand Hui and Ragnarok was last. Well, upsets do happen in racing, Ron and Jim. This one completely unexpected. Benburb and jockey Larry Attard. Is Attard ever related? They defeat the Allideed. The running time 1:57 and 2/5.
Dan Loisel, thank you. What a tremendous call. What a stunning turn of events here at Fort Erie. And there you see Sid Attard and Steve Stavro making their way down. Sid's happy, and Larry Attard, brother who's won it on Benburb. So that tells you what a monumental occasion, Jim.
What a roar from this crowd coming down the stretch. They were happy to see a great race. They were almost stunned, but they were vocally stunned that this horse had such a match for the great Allideed. Let's not take anything away from Allideed. He ran a great race. He may not have been on a racetrack he liked. The running time was decent, 1:57 and 2/5. That's not too far off the record of Big Blunder at 1:56, and of course the track is really off. And this horse stayed to the pace in striking position. And the course seemed to be a little bit tiring, and Allideed, once in front, he couldn't maintain his position. Talk about things going right for Steve Stavro. His stable is at the top of all stables in Canada this year. Phil England has done a great since coming over, and as Danny Loisel said, what a giant killer this is. I have never seen an upset like this. Neil Campbell mentioned earlier, the writer from the Globe and Mail, that if this horse was to get beat in the plate, what an upset it would be. This was even more of a conclusion that he was going to win, and they'll savor this one for a long time.
Until the rain. I suppose we should really qualify the fact that it did rain heavily today, and as you've suggested, with the track obviously he mustn't have liked. Craig Perrette just couldn't get anything down the lane.
And having been around the races for years, I've seen good horses very likely to win that don't win on a track such as this. I mentioned earlier, Dan Smartley was beaten on a track just like this right here at Fort Erie. Good position for Allideed. You can't fault that. He was fanned a little wide into the first turn, but that was by preference. You know, he stay wide. And coming through the stretch, here they come. Allideed on the inside, Benburb on the outside. That unique hoop-de-doop style of Larry Attard on the 4-horse Benburb. Handled the mud just beautifully, and the time he lost getting to the Queen's Plate, it just seems that he made up for it here. Too bad for Allideed, but he ran a great race.
Yeah, that's really tremendous news for Larry Attard and for Benburb. And Dan, here's Steve Stavro. Go ahead, Dan.
Well, we've got the whole place is in shock. Phil England doesn't say a whole lot at the best of times. Phil, how did you do it?
No, I'm speechless. That's all there is to it. Speechless. It's just great. We're very pleased.
Steve Stavro, you are having the type of season that you've dreamed about for many, many years. We've got the replay coming up as you see your gray horse. Give us your Steve. Here he is coming to the wire.
Well, Phil brought him up. He was patient with him. He's our own homebred, and that's what makes it a little bit better, you know, and we believed in the horse, and with Phil's patience and that, and Attard's driving power there, that's what we want.
Well, Steve, we've said for the last several years that the only challenger on the horizon for the King Haven Samson domination of racing could be the Nob Hill Farm, and you and Phil did an absolutely unbelievable, magnificent job. Congratulations. Now go over and enjoy the winner's circle. Ron, back to you.
Well, Dan, this Allideed is now tied with 8 points atop the standings in the run for the bonus. The Bank of Montreal's Triple Crown bonus is $200,000. It raises all kinds of questions, Jim, with regard to what do you do now with Allideed? Do you skip the third jewel, the Breeder Stakes, and go south?
Of course, there's still a $200,000 bonus for the horse that gets the most points. Before 2 minutes ago, we weren't talking about these two horses in the same breath, but all of a sudden statistics bring them closer together than some would hope that they really do belong. But can't take anything away from Benburb. But he has the option now of heading off to the Travers. Don't forget the 3-year-old division is vulnerable in the United States right now. The Kentucky Derby winner, the Preakness winner, and the Belmont winner are all shelved right now, and that leaves it wide open for Ali Deed to go down there. We just saw him come back under the walkway near. He was slow coming back, but he looked like he was just fine. He got a little bit of a raspberry from the crowd, but I think it was the kind of raspberry that Gordie Howe used to get. You know, you really respect him, and we're really happy that he performed well, even if he did lose.
Great, Jim. All jockeys wear silks except right for Steve and Sally Stavro. They wear satins. That beautiful blue and gold will be painted upon the jockey, the concrete jockey just out front as a memento of this victory, and we'll continue to expand upon it and what the future will hold when we continue from Fort Erie.
The 57th Prince of Wales Stakes. Brought to you on CBC Sports Weekend by Montreal, committed to bringing service back to banking. We're paying attention.
Well, as mentioned, one of the nice traditions here at Fort Erie is that the winning colors are placed upon a jockey at the front of the grandstand for all to enjoy over the course of the next 365 days, and none will enjoy it more than Steve Stavro, who went, Jim, outside of normal bits to come up with Benburb, because it's not really a homebred in the normal sense for him.
Homebred in that he bred him himself, but usually he uses his own prolific sire, Cool
Right.
Victor, who everybody wants to breed to. He bred to a son of Caro here, of course, Dr. Carter, and Caro so prominent in earlier Triple Crown when we were talking about with approval. But certainly I think the gentleman painting the statue out there had the right color, but maybe the wrong shade of it.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? We expected King Havens to be there, and geez, real disappointment for Dave and Bud Wilmot, I'm sure. And the questions, hopefully we will have a chance before getting off air to hear from their side. But in the meantime, it's a scene of celebration for Nob Hill Stables. Benburb wins the Prince of Wales Stakes, unofficial now, but we should have word on that. And incidentally, if this holds, and it should, $51 to win payout. So what a sensational day for those clever enough to predict this upset. A one-length victory for Benburb, but you'd have to go to great lengths to find a more amazing story in the last few years.
Very happy crowd down there right now. You have to give credit too to Ali Deed, though. He showed up and was a sport about on a track that he probably wasn't his best over, but today really belongs to the gray here. A great story.
About 4 furlongs in, I noticed Craig Perrette tried. Okay, we'll just go down right now to Dan Kenny before we get to that.
Thanks, Ron. We're here with Larry Attard. This will go down in Canadian racing as maybe the greatest ever. First of all, Larry, going on post-grade, did you think you had any chance?
Yes, well, last time this horse he ran, he ran a good race after month he don't run, and we thought, he come back a little bit. He needed that race last time, and feel, the trainer did a good job for him. He worked him slowly, and he was really fit,
Now, the race itself, Larry, you began to make a nice move, but it was along the rail on the turn, and then you decided to go outside.
Well, yes, the LED, he went outside, and the other horse, and the inside horse is just dropping on the other horse outside, and I thought maybe I saved some ground and a better path, Then they come in again. I decided to go outside. And when I go outside, he started to pick it up. And from the 3/8 spool, I thought I got a good shot at it.
Did you reaction from Craig Perrette when you came up right next to him about the 8th pole?
Yes, well, when I come in the quarter pool, I thought I got a really shot to win it, because he asked his course, and he don't give him like he used to give him.
Larry, congratulations again. Go Savor, one of the great victories. And to you.
Well, it's hard to move around here, Dan, with all the jaws on the ground. $51 to win. The exactor 4 and 5 is $58.80. Here's the actual photo of the finish. Ignore these two horses up at the top. I seldom do. But there's 4. I can't do this backwards on television, but I guess like all of us, amazed at this photo that will be etched on our memories for some time, Jim.
Looks like, Ron, one dream is shattered today, that of Ali Deed, but another is sprung up.
Well, Dan Kenny, here, I want to ask, 4 or 5 furlongs in, Craig Perrette asked Ali Deed for something. Grand Hooley had gone to the lead. Benburb was there. It looked as if he wanted something, got it temporarily, but down this stretch, just couldn't seem to get him to pull away.
Well, we did talk about the bounce theory, and we gave it lots of airtime before it actually. Horses that run well in the plate don't run as well when they come here. This horse has never been in a race like this before. The Preakness somewhat, but of course he had been in front and had already been passed, but he didn't give up. He still fought right to the wire, was beaten about a half a length. Benburb got a track that he liked. He was fresh earlier. There's so many squeezes of a lemon that you can get. You either squeeze it early or squeeze it late, but once it's dried up, it's not there. And because this horse had missed some time, that leg irritation, that splint that they injected and cured, but he missed some training time, is actually a blessing, because he came a very fresh horse. And as you noticed, he needed that freshness in the last 70 yards. That was the difference.
That's an excellent point. Dan, what about your final impressions?
Ron, I can't help remembering, I've been around the races about 25 years, and old-timers used to say, kid, you want to bet on gray horses in the mud? Nobody could ever tell me why. The first thought I had when they crossed the wire was, you got to listen to those old-timers. The second thing is, a lot of times when a great horse is upset, it's because he had a bad day, but they ran in real racehorse time. This horse is a lot better than I thought he was. Dan Loisel, what do you think?
Well, we're here with Roger Ratfield. Difficult time for you, a good horse like Ali Deed being defeated today. Is there anything that you can come up with of why you finished second instead of winning like everybody expected?
There isn't at this particular point of time, but watching the race and talking to Craig, I just don't think he handled the track comfortable at all. That's all. I mean, he appears to have pulled up well. In the little bit I've seen of him so far, you know, that's the only thing that I could put it down to, and I hope that that's all there was. But you know, like I've said many times, another horse race, and we've got a different going today than we've been on before, and you don't know until it happens. So
Might be a little premature to ask you this, Roger, but the Breeders' Stakes back at Woodbine on August the 16th, or the Travers in Saratoga, which way do you think you'll go?
I'd have to talk to David and Mr. Wilmot over that now. Obviously, the Triple Crown has gone, so now we've got a completely different thing to look at, and I also have to see how this horse has come out of this race, and whether there was any legitimate reason for the race, or whether it was just the go-in that bothered the horse. And then we'll have to sit down and work out which way we want to go from there.
Again, Roger, thanks for taking the time. I'm sure Ali Deed has many great days ahead of him. Good luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you, Roger. Classy as always, in this case in defeat.